This is Boxing Tickets NI, and we're glad to say we're joined with Peter Graham. How are you, Peter?
Good, all good. How are you, Steve? Very good.
All's fantastic. I think we're obviously in a wee bit of a lull of I think probably for the next week or so of no live boxing. So gives us a bit of time to recharge and probably think of what's been going on the last few weeks in boxing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. But you miss the boxing, man. You have to love it. It's Friday and Saturday, look forward to it. Boxing coming on. I think the boys are out next week. I think Crackernot's out next week and maybe Paddy McCrory. So
Paddy's out next Friday and then Lewis is out next Friday and then Paddy's out the next week after. And then I think it then just goes into the end of March, it just goes into a meltdown. I think nearly every Irish boxer is sort of nearly got a fight somewhere. You know, if it's Belgium or Luxembourg or Poland.
There's a couple of boys fighting in Luxembourg. I think it's the 20th or 26th from the Olympics.
20th, yeah.
A couple of boys from here, so
I guess obviously with the whole sort of change in the pandemic, it's sort of now we're coming to the end of it. There's going to be a lot more shows and a lot more action. It's like Eddie Hearn probably first said during the start of lockdown, you stay ready, you'll get fights, and now people are getting themselves ready for a fight. You know,
that's it. More boxers doing that now. Usually boxers will wait till the date coming up then start training, but more boxers staying in the gym because they're probably waiting on that call and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
You know, promoters love that as well. They're waiting on call and they're ready to fight. And it's good now. Most of them are doing it. So.
And for sort of anybody sort of tuning in that probably may not know who you are. You're Peter Graham, based out in Clonard ABC, and you now have I think 4 professional boxers on your books. Is that correct?
Well, I'm training. The minute I'm training, Dylan Taylor, me, Michael Corr, and I'm a part of a team for Conor Quinn. He's working with Dee Walsh at the minute. Done a few sessions with Rudy Farrell. I'm not sure what's happening there, but you know, I like to help people out to see. So I'll give them a few sessions and
see how it goes.
So that's it.
Yep, definitely. And obviously you're in the process at the minute of waiting back on your pro license coming back. So you pretty much is like a debut sort of coming for yourself in the pro boxing. So you nearly feel like you're a youngster again, getting ready for action, you know?
That's it. You see, I'm an amateur coach, you see, but it was about a year and a half ago I thought about it. There was a couple of boys were getting the age like 16, 17, 18. And I always thought if I ever turned over, I would like to train them, no helping out myself. Mm-hmm. So I was sort of having it there, having it in the back there, and then if anybody ever needed me to train them. But then that's when Dylan Taylor got on to me. And he was thinking about it, and I said, listen, I have my license coming, you know, come you up and I'll look after you. And then he signed pro for Irish Boxing Promotions. So I'm going to get the ball rolling with him. And then that's when Michael Corr came to me as well. He seen it getting the license out and he seen me as training Dylan. And he messaged me as well about training him. So I said, no problem. I'm willing to help anybody else as much as I can.
Yeah, taking it back a few years, what age did you first get involved in boxing yourself then?
See, my daddy, Paddy Graham Senior, he was the coach in St Agnes's. Mm-hmm. And I think my brother he just left boxing then, and my daddy brought me up. I think it was about 8 or 9. As you go with your couple of your mates. Then I was sort of enjoying it, and then one of my mates left, and then I went, stick us in. And I sort of left myself. Mm-hmm. But I wish I hadn't have been, you know, wish I had stuck it out, because I didn't end up going back to boxing again until I was about 15. Mm-hmm. I just something clicked in my head. I said, I want to do this. Then nobody forced me or anything. It was never forced. And I just went back myself one day, and I've been there ever since. Just stayed at it. I think I stopped boxing when I was about 24. Mm-hmm. But I was in 3 different clubs as well. Started off in St Agnes's for about a year and a half, and then I went to Immaculata. And I loaded. I loved that club. It was a very, very good club. And the only reason I left Immaculata is because Clonard opened, and my brother was going to be one of the coaches. Otherwise, if Clonard never opened that, I'd been a Macman because I love that club. Nugget Nugent, Tommy Quinn, good men. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Clonard. That's where I've been ever since. From I think it was about maybe 17, 18 when I went to Clonard.
Fantastic. So you obviously you have a rich vein of obviously history sort of within boxing. And then what made you get into the coaching then? Was it just sort of, I guess sometimes just like any sport, when you've been involved in a sport, sometimes there's a gradual one day actually just stay in it and help coach?
Well, see, see, the thing is, I wasn't interested in coaching. I had boxed my last fight. I think it was 24 in the Ulster Seniors when I broke my hand. And I just got a real sickener that year. I thought I should have won them. You know, I was staying the weight and I fancied myself, and I was winning the fight handy. And then when I broke my hand, like a doing this stupid fight, and I ended up losing 13-12 in the semi-final. And that's where I was a wee bit disheartened, because I always wanted to get the Ulster Hall and win an Ulster or senior featherweight title. And I never, so it took a few weeks out of the hand healing. And obviously a few weeks turned in a few months. As you keep trying to get back, it gets harder and harder. You know, start putting me losing interest a wee bit. And then the weeks turned into a year, and then I was making comebacks and all that. And then I just went, look, I'm not going to do it again. And my daddy was actually, Paddy Senior, he was actually torturing me to come down as a coach. You'll enjoy to be a good coach. And I said, it's not for me, not for me. So I gave in one day. I think it was about 27, 28 when I went down. And I just loved it right away. Loved it, found the passion again, the hunger again. I went, you know what, I can pass on a bit of stuff that I learned to kids and help them. And then once I started seeing competitions, club shows, whatever, I just loved it. I was glad I made that move, to be honest.
And I think sometimes, you know, if you probably, it's like anything nowadays, if you haven't been involved in the sport, you sometimes don't know what it's like to do a weight cut or obviously wrap your hands in a particular way and things like that. So when you've been involved in the sport, you know what you're talking about. You know, someday, you know, if I was to open up a boxing gym tomorrow and start coaching people would go, do you ever box? No. Well, why would we train with you? So you know exactly what's going on with things, and you can understand when probably people aren't feeling like they're up to training today, or why are we doing this in a certain way? You've been through the process of it, so you know exactly what you're doing. So it makes sense.
I know that, but see, saying that, I've seen some coaches from my time have never boxed and they've been cracking coaches. I don't want to start naming them, you know, but I've seen some good coaches who've never boxed. So, you know, it's not always to say you have to be a boxer or be a good boxer to be a good coach, because it could be the other way around at times. You can never done it at all, and all of a sudden you're in someone's corner and you're giving them the right advice.
We obviously get so many armchair supporters sometimes in boxing that, you know, why did he do this, or you know, he quit this or the other. Sometimes, obviously, in any sport, I guess nowadays, people's going to have opinions on, you know, why did he not fight on, or why did he take a knee, or you know, they don't understand the logic of it. Sometimes it'd be good if sort of nearly if you could do like a virtual sort of coach, you know, in a way they can do with some of these online games, just so they can sort of understand sometimes, because how many of these people that have opinions have ever been near a boxing ring, you know, from just watching the sport?
That's it.
You think they know it all, you know?
You see it all the time. The people who are watching the fight just see you in the ring winning. They don't see the months ahead that lay up, the hard sparring, the weight cut, the diet, all the tough training. Because they say the easiest was some of them in training camps were tough what you had, but you get on with it, and that's all what people see. They see you in the ring winning, go, looks easier, whatever, why isn't that doing this? But they don't see the hard part that goes on in the background.
And I know, not naming any boxers, but I know some boxers in the past have tried the MMA approach, where you sort of lose your weight very rapid the day before the weigh-in, and then try and put it back on again, and they've suffered badly from it, you know. So people's tried things to try and get an advantage in the sport legally, but obviously it then hasn't worked out in their favour, where they're putting on, you know, putting on like a stone and a half, and then they wonder why they can't punch in the fight, you know, and they've no energy, you know. So there's a lot in the sport, and obviously more so now, like, you know, strength and conditioning and diet's massive in the sport. You know, if you don't do your S&C and you don't sort of keep to a good diet, you're going to suffer for it long term in the sport. Still there?
I lost you, but there will be a saying again. Sorry.
I was saying, obviously, so much has probably changed in sport as well with S&C and diet and things like that. So sometimes over time, a boxer will get found out if they're sort of cheating what they're doing, so to speak. You know, if they're dieting Monday to Friday and eating chippies at the weekend, they'll soon get caught out. Obviously, the more the levels go up in the sport.
Everything's better. And I see, as you say, well, people have nutritionists on board, strength and conditioning coaches, whatever. But see, back in the day, you threw on like a sweatsuit and you thought that was it. But it actually happened to me once before. I think it was when I as a featherweight or whatever for some championship. I think it was the Ulster Seniors. And I'd done it all the wrong way. And I lived in a sweatsuit for about 2 or 3 weeks. And I was just drained. There was actually another time as well that a doctor filmed me just by looking in my eyes at one of the weigh-ins one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't enter challenges because he seen how I had really been drained or weak looking. So, but sometimes I done it wrong back then as well. But now, to be a boxer now, I'd be far better. If everybody willing to help you out, they've all these nutritionists, strength and conditioning coaches, and they do it properly now, they do it right.
Yep, and like I guess it's with any sport nowadays. Like you used to see, like years ago, football and things like that. You would have seen players doing their training sessions and they're smoking and and drinking tins of Coke and stuff like that. But they have to live more the good life now if they want to really enjoy and get the most out of the sport.
Yeah, 100%. That's the way forward. You only get what you put in the sport, and if you're willing to give it everything, you'll go right to the top. So you start cutting corners, you'll not make it. That's the way I look at it.
And as I say, the more and more I start, I think if you start to look into the diet sometimes, and it's a lot more of the boxers now are doing where they drink loads and loads of water in the week of the build up to the fight, and then you're going, you're drinking that much water, how do you get out again? But there's a science behind it involved as well, and it's scary the more you look into it. You still there, Peter?
Lost you there again, yeah, sorry. This signal's really bad. No, that's the do this thing now with the companies from the MMA where they drink loads of water and then they just flush it all out of your system. It's a quicker way of losing weight. And to me, it's not a healthy way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not.
Funny, I remember
some boxers have been in MMA as well.
It's been a few years since I've sort of, done the healthy eating sort of thing and like that and drinking water. But whenever you start getting used to it, when you're drinking 2 liters or 4 liters of water a day, you get fed up to this stage. You're probably becoming best friends with the toilet. So for a lot of these boxers, put that much water in, you might as well just sleep in the toilet.
Exactly. I know.
And then you get down the route of the baths, the what do you call them baths they do as well, and they would probably do it more in the UFC, but it looks, it looks really, really bad.
It looks painful. I won't do it. Painful. It does. You see people sitting in the bath, they're crying, you go, why are you doing this? Just move up a weight.
Yep. And then the sweatsuits on and they're putting quotes around them and everything else and lying for an hour, and you're going, why you put your body through that much strain, and how can you recover that quickly? It's sometimes the things people don't see. Well, they don't see it as much in boxing, because obviously they probably do it as a more educated, from like 6 or 12 weeks out. But for the UFC in particular, it's brutal how it goes, and then they still get obviously they slate it the same way if they win or they lose.
And they're taking off. You're talking like we're stoned in 1 or 2 days. And it can't be goofy at all.
Definitely can't. So obviously, as well as obviously having 3/4 pro boxers, your own son's actually coming through the amateur setup as well. I'm guessing he just wanted to keep that family tradition going, hasn't he?
Yes, well, what I done was I didn't push him into either. What my daddy done with me, I just let him. He sort of seen where I was going. He was about 6, and he actually about 5, and he was asking me if I come to the club with me. So I kept putting them off. So I waited, and he was about 6. So I started bringing him down 1 night a week. It was every Friday. And when I brought him down, as usual, kid, he would swing on by, mess about, whatever. But then when he started training a bit more, he started asking me, could he go an action night? So I said, yes, no problem, bring you to Wednesday. And then he just wanted to do all the guys. So I started, obviously, getting him wee sparring and all. But he's been there ever since 5 or 6. He's been there, and he's 14 now. He's very good. He's doing good at the minute. He's learning every day, and he just loves it. His ambition is to go to the Olympics and then turn professional. So he's enjoying it. He's doing well.
It's a wee bit like Conor. Was it not Conor said he went to the gym did he not come to your gym at 5 and you sort of turned him away until he turned 6? So he's nearly taking
I
Conor's
was
approach
actually
there as well.
I was I know I was boxed at the time when Conor came into the club, because there was actually one of my last fights. Conor was the first fight on the show and I was the last. And there's a photo of us together and I'm like that. No. But on my Conor's been there ever since as well. It's good to see it. It's good for him, but maybe that I hope he turns out as good as Conor. Let me say that there. And the Irish Tales Conor won as well.
And I guess
he
obviously
will get there. He keeps training every day, and he will.
With Conor sort of a wee bit older, about 8 years older. Obviously, there's something for Conor, something for your wee lad to look up to Conor for, and obviously, keep learning off him and everything else, being close to the gym and stuff like that as well. It can really help him bring him on.
No, if Conor's not doing anything or he's no face, Conor will come around the gym. Maybe take a couple of pads, show the kids a couple of wee shots. And Jamie would look up to Conor Quinn. He definitely would.
Yeah, but it's a good person to learn off as well. You were actually, Peter, probably, I'd say you were very instrumental in obviously helping Conor to make a massive life and career decision. Obviously, he was in Australia with the pandemic and things last year, and because you've been with him since the start. He obviously asked you for a lot of advice and stuff on coming home, so it must sort of make you proud that somebody you've helped to train and nurture coming up is now getting to the stage where he's in the pro boxing and he's still going, here, Peter, give me some advice.
It's brilliant. As I say, I've known Conor from it's 5 or 6 years old. I've watched him come right through the ranks before I started coaching him as well, and it's very good. He asked me when he was going to Australia, what do I think? And I said, look, go for it. These opportunities never come up. No, it's probably once in a lifetime. I said, go for it. Mm-hmm. And when he went, Conor's contacted me maybe twice, 3 times a week from the whole year he's been there. Mm-hmm.
Speaks
constantly asking for advice, constantly asking, like what he thinks I do. Let me know, keep me updated on how he's scoring and whatever. Mm-hmm. So, you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you grand there.
No, just keep me up to date with everything he does. And as I said, when he was thinking about coming home, he'd ask me, what do you reckon? So I get on the Mark then, to see what he'd be interested in. Mark was over in Moon, so me and Mark were contacting each other back and forth, and I said, look, Mark, it's best just to talk to Conor himself. Mm-hmm. So put him on, give him his number, whatever name he got, and contact each other. So, and that was it basically. And then when Conor was sort of saying who would I train with if I come home, obviously I'd love to train Conor, but as a professional boxer that he is, Conor would need to train maybe once, twice, 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. So I said, look, your best bet's going for Dee Walsh. He said, he trains during the day. That's his job now. Yeah. I said, I obviously work 8 to 4. So he went up for Dee, and that's when he asked me as well, Conor, or Peter, would you come on as part of the team? And I was told today. I said, no problem, Conor. Mm-hmm. So that was it. So me and Dee's good relationship anyway as well. So I know Dee well. So he is in good hands. I've said it before, and he'll do brilliant. So you know.
And sort of is I know it wasn't at the press conference for sort of coming home and things with the pandemic. Sort of there was a limited people and stuff that could be there, but the foundations are sort of been built. They want to build a really strong team. Mark's a fantastic reputation as a manager and getting the best for his boxers. Dee's obviously coming through, and into the pro ranks now from being a boxer himself. And obviously with you knowing, the inner workings pretty much of Conor since the age of 6, it's just building everything right there.
Yeah. Actually, he actually said to me on the phone the other day, he said, you're like my personal assistant. Did he do everything? Every time I phone you get it sorted for him. Sounds like his PA as well. I can recharge them.
You should
get. No car. Nice kid, yes. But he has built a good team. And Mark, the last boxers are flying at the minute. And Teeny and Tommy McCarthy. So one day, hopefully, they're going to be fighting for world titles, and hopefully I have them here. Mm-hmm. And Conor can be on the undercard and build himself up. And then one day, Conor will be a top of the bill. Yeah. And maybe my son Jamie will be on his undercard or future fighters. So that's the way it works.
It definitely does, and I know. Obviously, Conor set himself massive targets in the sport, but he says he doesn't set the targets for the sake of it. every boxer obviously dreams of becoming a world champion, but Conor wants to be 3 and 4 weight world champions. You know, I haven't seen much of him, to be honest, Peter, but whenever you hear him speaking, and everything else, it's hard not to believe in what he has, and with the team he's just set up, giving him the very best chance to do what he wants in the sport.
That's it. Well, see if they give out a world title for training, Conor would be a world champion already. He's one of them boxers where you tell him to do something, you leave the gym, and he would do it. He wouldn't bluff, he would do what you told him, and that's it. It's a real good workhorse, and you only get him what you put it. As I say, I believe Conor, the weight he's going to be fighting, that flyweight, super flyweight, Conor will be a world champion. I 100% believe it.
I say it's obviously it's good times to look forward to. I guess his problem at the moment is obviously waiting for his license changing over from Australia to back to the UK. So I think everybody just waiting on tenterhooks for that license to come through, and then he'll probably. I think he said he would nearly fight every week.
He will. It gives him more time to work with his new coach, Dee, you see. I know to fit in with a team. He's a good wee team upper as well. And obviously, when I can, I'll give him as much hand as I can. The club, maybe wants to call it time now and again, I'll give him a hand as well. But no, you'll give him time to work on different wee things and adapt and learn Dee's style and whatever. But when the time comes, Conor will be ready to go, be ready to fight.
And hopefully that's not too far away. We would tell the board they get it sorted and get that paperwork changed over so we get right in the ring. What would your thoughts be on the current Irish boxing scene, Peter?
At the minute, the Irish team's brilliant. At the minute, they're flying. I mean, you have Brendan Irvine there. He's a double Olympian. They have a good team coming through as well. A couple of girls are brilliant as well. No, they're flying at the minute, and they're trained doing that new. They have a new big setup down in Dublin there. And I've seen they've just come back from a recent tournament. I think it was Bulgaria. I think they got 2 bronze medals. So they're doing well at the minute. Just maybe this pandemic set them back a wee small bit, because Ireland's one of the best nations for boxing in the world. So once they get ready again, they'll just take over once again.
Funny, some people mentioned in some of the interviews, it's sort of the amateur setup's been setting a conveyor belt of boxers coming through, and we're sort of seeing a good grade of it now coming across into the pro scene. And I guess that's why so many boxers are finding their feet so quickly in turning pro now, is because of the great setup we have for amateur boxers moving through into the pro ranks.
That's it. Even the kids we have in the club, 11, 12, 13 coming up, and all the clubs in Belfast, they have some talent coming through here. And then I'm looking around at tournaments last year or the year before, and that could be your Olympic team or your Irish team in years to come, or senior team. There's some talent coming through. And that's all down to a good dedication and hard work from their coaches putting in them. But there's a real future for Irish boxing. Looks good, so it does. Very good. And
at what point do you think some of that may be, certain fighters obviously have certain eras, sometimes they'll have a trend in people, you've Katie Taylor, it's obviously the linchpin for sort of female boxers. Probably in anybody's way, but when you sort of look at it, an idol for women's going to be obviously probably normally a woman, so it'll be Katie Taylor. And then you've obviously the Carl Framptons, the Ryan Burnett's, the Andy Lees that's been coming through.
Yeah.
You think we're now sort of seeing a trend of people that followed their careers, it got them into the sport. I love Carl Frampton, so I'm going to become a boxer. It's what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a professional boxer. We're sort of seeing where that sort of trend maybe 10 years ago has now led to a lot more boxers turning pro.
Yeah, definitely. And as you're saying that, the boxing now, become professional now is brilliant, where you have better opportunities than it did, say, 10, 15 years ago. There's a whole lot of promotional companies now, and they're doing very good for our boxers here. Especially Boxing Ireland Promotions, I think they were one of the busiest about a year or 2 years ago. They were on 3 or 4 shows a year. Promoters and people now, managers, they're really looking after their fighters. They're trying to get them as much out there as possible. And then, as I say, kids at that age, 11, 12, and 13 now, looking up, they're seeing the big bright lights and how they're doing. They're winning titles, they're on TV, and they're going, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Sort of following. And as you said, just taking a conveyor belt, just keep going and going. And that's where we've some talent coming through. And that's the talent now you'll be looking at. They'll be professional boxers in the years to come.
It's hoping now with your Mick Conlons and everybody else, your Tommy McCarthy's, your Tennysons and everything else, it's close to the world titles. it's him, and obviously Carl's coming to the end of his career now, so it's somebody to take over from him, so we don't lose any of the youngsters that may be involved coming into the sport and going, I want to be a footballer now because Carl Frampton's retired. You know, it's keeping that going for them. They know that there's more than one person there. It's a boxer and somebody more they can idolise.
Exactly. We've a load in Belfast. As I mentioned before, with James Tennyson, with Tommy McCarthy picking up major titles, you know, they're going to be having their own shows maybe a year or two down the line. And then you've got new up-and-coming boxers, then they'll take over. It'll keep going and going. Irish boxing is a really good place at the minute.
And I guess the more successful with the likes of, you know, with the guys that's linked to Eddie Hearn, you know, you've all Mark's lot, the more successful they're going to be when boxing returns to the SSE, the more shows we're going to have. Lost you again, have I?
Broke up a wee bit again.
Aye. So I was sort of saying there, when obviously boxing does return from the pandemic, obviously the plan is that matching will return, and obviously a lot of Mark's fighters will return on that. But the more they'll keep winning, the more matching will keep returning. But it's probably more important as well that fan side of things get really behind it. Because I think when Ryan Burnett was here, you know, I don't think people caught on to Ryan Burnett's career probably when it was too late, because he fought a lot in England. So I think I think his unification fight with Saniakov, I think the arena was only half full for a unified world title fight.
Exactly.
You know, which was
I was at that one as well.
But
just a pity what happened, Ryan Burnett. I know it's a pity what happened because he had a big future ahead of him. You know, I think when he did win the world title, he was only really getting started. And it just, that injury was terrible to see because he was winning that fight as well. You know, it was a hard tournament, the World Super Series, and to be honest, I don't think he would have won it, in my opinion. I think I knew he would win it all day long, but he might have got the fight. He might have had you never know with boxing, the one punch and change the fight, but it's just a pity what we had to end it for him. You know, but to see now, he's doing well now, so it's paid off in a way for him. To see he's got his own gym and that there and all, so
he's still trying to stay involved in the sport in some way. I know,
but it is a pity because he would have been topping bills for many years to come as well.
Very likeable guy as well. He's probably a wee bit more the quieter approach. You know, he probably wouldn't be like outspoken as much as some of the others, and probably thoughts and boxing things at times. But I think obviously, you know, probably after the World Boxing Super Series, if things hadn't went the way they did, you would have seen a lot more appeal coming for Ryan, because you couldn't not like him. You know, he had a flashy style, but he was also very, very talented at what he did do. Yeah.
So I remember one time, it was one of my first club shows running, and I always try and get a professional boxer up, to give the medals out to the kids. And I text Ryan Burnett, I don't know Ryan, and right away, yes, no problem, he was up. And I think it was the time he was a British champion.
Yeah.
And he brought his belt and all, and the kids loved it. Jeez, I thought this was brilliant. No, so he is a nice guy. I don't know him, he's a nice guy. As I'm saying, he responded right away and he came up, no problem, brought the belt up, and the kids thought this was Christmas, holding the title and all that. It's some belt, a British title.
It is. It's probably, I would probably say it's the best belt in boxing. You know, and it's not of a sort of biased sort of opinion, and obviously because it's the belt closest to a sort of thing and stuff here. But I just think it's an old school belt that deserves respect, and it probably people in other countries sort of look at that and they go, I wish I could fight for a British title.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it looks apart, so it does.
It does. So who would you say, Peter, would be your favourite current fighter to watch?
Well, here in Belfast, it would have to be Tennyson. You know, you can't go wrong with James Tennyson. You get everything with him. You get excitement, power. He would be my favourite here to watch at the minute. And probably on the world level, I've two at the minute. I like Inoue, the bantamweight who won the Super Series, and Tank Davis, I like him, powerful puncher. So
you like the lighter fighters then?
Not that I like the lighter fighters. I just think they're more exciting and more explosive. You know, my favourite fighter of all time was Arturo Gatti, and he just was. Jeez, love what I still watch him. So that's my favourite of all time. But I would never tell a kid to replicate what he does. That's just all wrong.
It's very tough to do. because obviously, you know, a big thing of your boxing, obviously, in coaching and things like that is making it easy for somebody to understand to then replicate. So what sort of boxers would you sort of say to them, you know, to watch, to try out, you know, the movements you're telling them, you know, who would you say, like?
Well, I know what you're saying. Well, you have to say Lomachenko right away. And there's a Cuban called Rigondo as well.
Yeah.
Their style of movement is unbelievable. That's hitting that B hit, feints, head movement. They've got everything. That's the tail boxers. The amateurs say now, but tell them what's them ones, and footwork, movement, everything. Two class boxers.
Funny, some events sort of, you know, I've been in before the pandemic and things, when I've been in Gleann speaking to Dee and stuff like that as well, you know, like other fighters you mentioned there, like Andre Ward, you know, Shakur Stevens coming through. I'm actually really a good fan. I'm a really big fan of Cale Plant as well. He's obviously potentially in the line for a big fight with Canelo as well. We probably just haven't seen the best of him yet, but they seem to don't waste a lot of energy in what they do. So it means when they do have to use it, it's in reserve, ready to go. You know, it's defensive first.
Even Canelo's picked up that sort of style now.
Yeah.
Where he's all about slipping, making the miss, then making it pay. So he's actually good to watch as well. Canelo, he does everything perfect.
I think sometimes Canelo probably loses some fans because of obviously the tainted drugs test and obviously had with the meat and things like that. So I think some fans he's lost sort of with that. But it's like anything now. It's, you know, you Floyd Mayweather come through. It made an absolute fortune in the sport and things like that. The more successful sometimes you get in the sport, people hate you for it. You know, so it's hard to find that balance.
Yeah, but he will probably go down as one of the best ever, Mayweather. You know, he was more in his early days when he was a super featherweight lightweight. He was more exciting, and he went forward. And he took you out. When he started getting up a weights, he started getting more defensive than that. But he's unbelievable. So
that's crazy. So obviously with you, still here. We just seem to be sort of dropping in and out of signal. So you obviously have thought very highly of Dee. They obviously recommend him to Conor. Would you have seen many of Dee's fights? When obviously I've never unfortunately got to see Dee fight live. But obviously you must have a lot of respect for him. I know Conor would have known him already before he moved to Australia, but you obviously think very highly of Dee and what he does to get Conor to go with him.
No, I think see if you have a dedicated coach, and I believe after being in India, you know, Dee to me is very dedicated. He was in that gym morning and night, and I thought it was a right move for Conor to go to him. He's young as well, he's upcoming. He's a good stable of boxers there, like some McCrory, Crocker, Owen O'Neill. So I thought Conor would have fit right into that camp. So, no, I'd be friends with Dee. So, yeah.
And as I
say, he's passionate in boxing.
He's starting to get a lot more probably trend to him now, and obviously people understanding Dee's coming through, and you know, I think he said he wants to have world champions for years, so he's probably doing the John Breen of years ago. You know, he's going to have people phoning him from the other side of the world going, I want to train in your gym.
Does that mean we have to stick Dee for 40 years?
We might have to.
40 years of sticking. I don't know. No, he will. He's doing well at the minute. As I'm saying, he's got passion for it. He studies it. He studies the game every day, and you know, he puts a lot in his fighters, as all coaches do. But that's what I'm saying. If you just dedicate yourself to your fighter, then that's it. That's what I can ask for.
Exactly. I think if anybody spends 9 hours a day watching the sport of boxing to learn from, you know, it shows you how much commitment and effort they have. I would probably struggle sometimes to watch 9 hours of boxing in a week if there wasn't live boxing on, you know, because when you're ready to result, watch it. But he's not watching it to sort of watch the fight, you know, and probably you're the same. You know, you're watching the fight to see how somebody's doing something, how somebody's holding their hands or their footwork or things like that, you know, whereas I'm sort of more looking for the big knockout punches and you're looking more for how to replicate somebody's movements.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, as both a fighter and a coach, you're never a finished article. You're always trying to improve yourself. that's the same with coaches too. You always want to learn different. Look at other coaches, see how they do things and all that there. So you're always trying different ways to help your fighter bring along. Is if that's watching boxing, trying to replicate moves of certain fighters, but you're always trying to improve yourself and be the best.
Definitely is. And just before I let you go, because obviously I know you've training now at 6 o'clock. Just obviously want to get your predictions in some upcoming fights. So we have two big upcoming fights already announced, and obviously a third one on the way. So the first one being Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders.
Canelo. I think Canelo will win that fight quite handy. I think Saunders will try and move and box for the first load of rounds, but I fancy Canelo will get them and break them down. I can see him actually stopping Saunders maybe later on. But I can't see Canelo being beat for a while yet.
I think a couple of years ago, you probably at middleweight, you may have, a few years back before obviously all the issues we've had with obviously Billy Joe being outspoken and things like that. I think it may have been a closer fight, but I think it's super middle. Canelo's built that confidence now to know that he could walk through anybody. He just doesn't feel what's coming back.
Even up the light heavyweight beat Koliev, is it? He stopped him, and he's a big lad, so he's come down to super middleweight, and he looks powerful. He looks strong at that weight, but I can just see him breaking him down and maybe stopping him with body shots, maybe. But Billy Joe Saunders is a class act as well, but I can't see anybody beating Canelo for a while.
No. I'd probably be the same opinion there. Obviously, the next one again, it was announced yesterday. Ramirez and Josh Taylor.
Yeah, I fancy Josh Taylor for that one. I fancy Josh Taylor. I think he's got.
There's a scary stat out there, Peter. I think his last 5 fights.
Oh, he's fast. He's a good engine. I can see him win that fight.
I think there's a scary stat. I think they said in Taylor's last 5 fights, the record of his opponents is 110 wins, 1 loss.
Whose one's that?
Josh Taylor's. I think it's the record of his last 5 opponents. 110 wins, 1 loss.
Right, it's very good.
And then
he's a very good boxer.
If he then obviously does the goods and obviously beats Ramirez and obviously he's unified and won all the belts at 140, I think it'll be 136-1. And the person that was beat by Terence Crawford.
All right.
Yeah. There was Victor Postol was beat by Terence Crawford, I think it was. So it's scary stats here, and it's showing a level. I think Josh Taylor may pick up a massive overload of fans overnight because of how talented he is, and going through the super lightweight division so quickly.
Yeah.
Losing here again, I think.
Yeah, I can see he will. I think he'll win all the belts, but I think he'll have a hard challenge when Lopez moves up a weight. So that's who I think will be his next challenger, Teofimo Lopez. But Josh Taylor, he's a big heart and he's a good engine. And he can grind when he needs to grind in there, and he can fight tough. But no, I can see him win that fight.
And then obviously the last one we're waiting to be announced. I think they've said that they've dot all the I's and crossed all the T's. AJ and Tyson Fury.
Yeah, Fury for me has to be Fury. Quite handy, I think. Quite handy. I think he'd backstairs with Joshua. So do
the thing I keep thinking back to. Go ahead, sorry.
2 different styles. Just 2 totally different styles. I think Joshua will have the hands up, coming forward, and Fury will just move, pick him off. And I think as it goes on and get more confident, he'll just start playing with Joshua. So I think it'll be a late stoppage again or a wide punch win. But as again, I can't see anybody beating him either. He's just.
I think when I think of Fury fighting AJ, Fury's obviously a lot bigger of a size than what Ruiz was, and Ruiz's right hook was obviously what's caused the damage to Joshua, and Fury likes to throw his his hooks coming from wide, and obviously once he hits the side of AJ's temple, that's curtains. It's night.
Yeah, you don't know where they come from. Fury's punches, they're long, there's uppercuts, there's hooks, there's everything. But he has it for a big guy, and he can move about that ring. So I just think it'd be just a one-sided fight for me. Froze me a bit there.
Yeah, I think I've got you froze. I think you were giving me your best smile there in a sort of freeze frame. You hear me? Yeah.
I got me there.
And then obviously we want to leave in last. The last one we have, we're pretty much a month away from finally going to see Carl Frampton and Jamil Hearn. Is Carl going to do the business and become a 3-weight world champion?
I hope so. You know, I'm sort of favouring Jamil Hearn at this minute.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know, again, I've watched some of his fights. He's big and long, and he can fit inside for a big, tall guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think it's a tough fight for Frampton. I would love to see him do it. You know, hopefully I'm wrong and he goes out and he blows him away. It would be great. But at the minute, I'm just favouring Hearn. Just think the style's all wrong for Frampton. He throws in them when he's inside for being so tall. He throws in them with the uppercuts and all. And I don't know, but I hope I'm wrong. So
I know the last time Hearn fought somebody of Carl's size. Obviously, it was at lightweight. I think was it lightweight, and he was stopped. I think he was stopped in the 11th round. In the fight, obviously the same size, but two fighters at the same size can be totally different. You know, obviously, the repetition of throwing the punches and the power and everything else. So, I think everybody hopes that he does it, because obviously becoming a 3-weight world king would be crazy. You know, it sets a new standard for everybody else. You know, but hopefully, fingers crossed, he can do the goods.
He would have to go down as one of the best ever from here, wouldn't he?
He would have
to go down as probably the best.
And I think it's probably not just.
I hope he does it.
It's not just, I think, more for in the ring, but it's what he's done for sport outside as well. You know.
Yeah.
I think
100%. No, he has. He's brought the boxing back to Belfast again, big time. You know, and there's a whole big thing around him the way he has now. But as I say, I hope he does it. It'll be brilliant for here.
Definitely will.
And just on his legs, he would probably go into the Hall of Fame as well. You know.
Yep, definitely, and that's what we want. But look, Peter, we'll let you go and obviously get yourself ready for getting back into some training for the evening. Obviously, want to thank you for joining us.
Brilliant.
And hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not too long before
that
license is back and you can get your fighters out.
Yeah, 100%. Just hope all the boxing gets back, all the guys, the amateurs as well. They're sort of over a year now from all the kids that box as well, or even been in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they're all feeling it. But as I say, I keep in contact with all my amateur boxers just to make sure they're doing well, how they're feeling, whatever. I would send them me working and just let them know I'm still thinking about them. It's hard at the minute for all the kids.
Yeah, but definitely is. What would you say to some of the amateur boxers at the moment? Just keep strong and know that good times are coming back.
No, it's hard, but just keep positive. I know the boxers know some of them are probably sick of doing the online classes, the Zoom class or whatever, and running. They want to compete, they want to fight. That's what we're in for. Pick up titles. Mm-hmm. Just saying, stay positive. Things are looking good at the minute. So hopefully we'll be back this year, and maybe hopefully with some sort of competition or some sort of fights at the end of the year. But just stay ready, stay active, best you can.
Fantastic. Well, Peter, listen, thanks very much for your time. I hope you enjoy
the rest
of the evening.
Thanks very much, Steve. Brilliant.
All right, cheers,
yes,
Peter.
thank you. Thanks very much.